There comes a moment in your life when you realize your energy is too sacred to be spent on people who don't see your value. You wake up one day and understand that chasing others, whether it's love, validation, attention, or approval only, drains you and disconnects you from your purpose. The truth is simple. When you stop chasing, they start noticing. When you pull back, they feel the absence. And when you focus on yourself, your growth becomes louder than any words you could speak. This message is not about playing games. It's about reclaiming your worth and stepping back into your power. When you stop chasing someone, you give both yourself and the other person the space needed for respect to grow. Constantly reaching out, constantly trying to prove your worth, and constantly showing up, even when they aren't matching. Your effort makes your presence feel ordinary, almost invisible. Human nature is wired to notice distance more than closeness. When something is always there, it becomes familiar. When it suddenly isn't, it becomes valuable. Pulling back doesn't mean you're angry or giving up. It means you've recognized your value and refused to bargain with it. When you stop trying to force a connection, you shift the dynamic. The other person is no longer choosing you out of convenience or comfort. They now have the chance to choose you because they genuinely want to. Your absence becomes a mirror. They start seeing what they had, what they ignored, and what they took for granted. Distance gives them the contrast they need. It highlights the quiet ways you are contributing to their life, the emotional support, the consistency, the encouragement, the warmth. These things often go unnoticed until they're no longer easily accessible. Pulling back also restores your self-respect. Instead of exhausting yourself emotionally, you redirect that energy inward. You become more grounded, more composed, and more selective. This emotional shift is powerful because it shows you're no longer chasing approval. You're centered and self-assured. That energy demands respect without ever asking for it. Sometimes silence sets a boundary louder than any argument. Sometimes stepping back is a stronger statement than stepping forward. An example of this is a man who spent months trying to keep a woman's attention. He texted first, made plans, and constantly checked in, even when she responded with minimal effort. She grew comfortable ignoring him because she knew he would always come back. One day he stopped chasing, not out of spite, but out of clarity. He focused on himself, his work, his health, his peace. Days turned into weeks and she started noticing the quiet. She realized no one else gave her the same consistent energy. She remembered how supported she felt. Suddenly, she was the one reaching out, initiating conversations and asking when she could see him. The respect she never showed before appeared only when he stopped demanding it and allowed the distance to do the work. Focusing on yourself is one of the most powerful shifts you can make, especially when you've spent too much time chasing someone else. When you chase, your energy moves outward. You invest your time, thoughts, and emotions into trying to win another person's approval. That outward pull drains you and makes you forget your own goals, your own growth, and your own potential. But when you stop chasing and redirect that same energy inward, everything changes. You become centered, grounded, and intentional. Your time goes into becoming stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. You start building the life you want instead of chasing people who don't contribute to it. And the truth is, nothing is more attractive than someone who is fully focused on elevating themselves. People are naturally drawn to growth. Discipline, confidence, peace, ambition, and self-respect create a magnetic presence that chasing can never produce. When you're improving yourself, you give off an energy that says you're complete on your own. You don't need validation to feel valuable. You earn your value through the work you put into yourself. That alone changes how people see you. The same person who once took you for granted now sees someone leveling up without them. They notice the difference in your confidence, your appearance, your tone, your habits. They see you no longer seeking attention. You're commanding it simply by becoming the best version of yourself. When you work on your purpose, you make people curious. When you glow, you make them pay attention. This shift in energy is the real reason people start missing you. Not because you play games, but because you transformed. They feel the elevation, and elevation is hard to ignore. For example, imagine a guy who spent weeks chasing a girl who barely responded. He texted her constantly, complimented her endlessly, and always tried to impress her. She didn't value it because it felt forced and needy. One day he stopped chasing. Instead, he joined the gym, fixed his sleep schedule, started a small side hustle, cut off negativity, and focused on building himself. Within a month, he was dressing better, walking with confidence, and looking healthier. He wasn't trying to get her attention anymore. He was busy improving his life. Suddenly, she began watching his stories, liking his posts, and reaching out first. What changed? Not her. Him. His self-focus made him more attractive than any pursuit ever could. Pulling back is one of the most revealing actions you can take in any relationship, whether it's romantic, friendly, or professional. When you decide to step back, not out of anger, but out of clarity, you allow the truth to surface. People show you who they really are when you're no longer the one initiating, reminding, checking in, or carrying the connection on your shoulders. Distance exposes priorities in a way words never can. If someone truly values you, they will feel the shift. They will notice the silence, sense the absence, and make an effort to close the gap. Their actions will respond to the distance naturally, without force. But if someone was only benefiting from your presence and never genuinely cared, the space you create will grow wider, not closer. They won't fight for the connection because they never truly invested in it in the first place. Pulling back also protects your energy. You stop overextending yourself for people who show little interest, and you start observing instead of chasing. This shift puts you in a position of strength because you're letting reality reveal itself. When distance is applied, excuses disappear. You no longer have to guess someone's intentions, misread mixed signals, or justify their lack of effort. Their response to your silence tells you everything. If they care, effort will rise. If they don't, indifference will speak louder than excuse. This clarity is what frees you. You stop building stories in your mind and start seeing people as they are, not as you hope they would be. A short example of this is a guy who was always the one holding his relationship together. He planned the dates, initiate every conversation, and constantly tried to keep the connection alive. Deep down, he wondered if she actually cared or simply enjoyed the attention. One week, he decided to step back, not to test her, but to regain balance. He stopped texting first, stopped forcing conversations, and focused on his own routine. Within days, he saw the truth. She didn't check in, didn't ask how he was, didn't even notice the shift. The silence revealed everything he needed to know. In that moment, he realized her interest required his effort to survive. The distance didn't cause the breakup. It exposed that the relationship was already one-sided. Pulling back gave him clarity, closure, and the strength to walk away with dignity. Letting go is one of the most difficult yet powerful steps you can take, especially when your heart has been tied to someone who doesn't meet you halfway. When you chase, your emotions stay tangled in anxiety, constantly wondering what they're thinking, why they're distant, and what you could do better. Your mind becomes loud, your heart becomes heavy, and your peace becomes dependent on someone else's attention. But the moment you stop chasing, something shifts inside you. You stop searching for validation outside yourself and start finding stability within. Staying still doesn't mean you've given up. It means you finally stop running after something that was running from you. That stillness gives you strength. It lets you feel your own presence again. It allows you to reconnect with your mind, your priorities, your confidence. Letting go teaches you that emotional strength isn't built through holding on. It's built through releasing what hurts, even when it feels impossible. When you let go, your thoughts become clearer. You begin seeing things as they are, not as you wish they were. You gain the power to choose your next steps without desperation cloak. Rooting your judgment, you realize that peace isn't something someone else can give you. It's something you build by choosing yourself. This shift becomes a foundation for future relationships and decisions. You no longer beg for attention. You invite effort. You no longer accept crumbs. You expect consistency. You no longer settle. You recognize your worth. Every time you choose yourself, you strengthen your emotional backbone, and that strength becomes the version of you that no longer breaks over temporary people. A powerful example of this is a man who spent months trying to keep a connection alive with a woman who was always inconsistent. He worried all the time why she didn't reply, why she lost interest, why he was never enough. Then one day, exhausted and emotionally drained, he decided to stop chasing. He didn't make an announcement, he simply let go. The first week felt painful and uncomfortable, but the silence gave him something he hadn't felt in a long time. clarity. He started sleeping better, thinking clearer, and refocusing on his fitness, work, and personal growth.
The anxiety slowly faded. He wasn't waiting for messages anymore. He was rebuilding himself.
Weeks later, she reached out, curious why he stopped chasing. But by then, he had grown stronger. He no longer needed the attention that once controlled him. Letting go didn't just free him, it transformed him. When you decide to elevate yourself, everything around you shifts. Your mindset, your habits, your appearance, your confidence, and eventually the way people treat you. Growth has a strange power. It forces others to confront what they overlooked. When you stop chasing someone and start investing in yourself, you create a contrast they can't ignore. They remember the version of you who was available, eager, and always trying. But suddenly, that version is gone. In its place stands someone focused, disciplined, and unbothered. That transformation hits people in a way your words never could. Elevation speaks louder than emotion. When you rise, you become a mirror reflecting their lack of effort, their inconsistency, or their inability to appreciate you. That's when curiosity begins. They start watching you from a distance, wondering how you changed so fast, how you became so confident, how your life started moving forward without them. Then curiosity turns into concern, because they realize the attention they once took for granted is no longer theirs. And slowly that concern becomes regret. People rarely regret losing someone who stayed the same. They regret losing someone who grew. This kind of regret hits harder because it's not just emotional, it's visual. They see you leveling up, they see your discipline, they see your glow, they see your success, your peace, your stability, your self-respect. You become a version of yourself they never believed you would become, and that realization hurts more than your absence ever could. Your elevation reminds them they had access to you when you were still becoming, but they lost you before you became. A clear example of this is a man who spent months chasing a woman who barely valued him. She dismissed his messages, canceled plans, and acted as if he would never walk away. Eventually, he stopped trying and redirected all that effort into himself. He hit the gym, upgraded his style, focused on his career, picked up new skills, and became disciplined with his time and energy. Each week, he looked and felt better. Within months, he transformed completely, leaner, sharper, more confident, and fully invested in his purpose. One day, out of nowhere, she messaged him again. Not because she suddenly cared, but because she saw the change. She saw the man he had become, the man she didn't believe he could be. And in that moment, she realized what she had lost. His elevation became the closure she never gave him. So stop running after people who are walking away from you. Stop pouring your time into those who give you their leftovers. Redirect your energy back into the one person who deserves it the most, you. When you stop chasing, life brings you what is meant for you. When you stop begging for attention, the right people start giving you respect. And when you stop trying to be seen, your presence becomes impossible to forget. Remember this: your value doesn't decrease when someone fails to notice it. It increases when you finally realize it yourself.